We'll talk Cavs after a quick word from FanDuel. It is playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every single game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. You can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And today's winning ticket comes from Bobby Rhodes. And he says, boy, you're on a heater. He took your Bet Rivers pick. He's 2 for 2 with those. And he turned $20 into $155 with Bulls' 3-leg parlay from the other day. The overruns on the Guardians-A's game, the Brewers' money line, and the overruns in the Diamondbacks-Giants. So if you want to win some money, bet with Bull. He puts out his parlays on his Bet Rivers podcast, and you can be like Bobby Rhodes and make $150 by listening to Adam the Bull.
There you go, and I will have another parlay out this afternoon for action in baseball tonight. Guys, the Cavaliers, very similar to the first game. They took a big lead in the first quarter. Magic made a couple of runs to get it close, but in the end, they were inept offensively yet again. And despite the fact that the Cavs offensively are not playing particularly well, they have a commanding, or what feels like a commanding 2-0 lead in this series.
I think that this series against the Magic is exactly what the Cavs needed. You know, we criticized a lot. Well, I didn't. A lot of people criticized them for
silly people
cheat or losing the last game against Charlotte to get the Magic. But this is the perfect opponent for them because it's a confidence booster. The one place that the Cavs haven't been successful has been in the playoffs. So you get a team that doesn't have that same playoff experience, and you're able to take advantage of those things. I mean, we've seen this man right here has been saying all year, when they get to the playoffs, they're going to leave Evan open for 3. They're going to leave Isaac Okoro open for 3, and they got to make them. And if they make them, it'll change the entire series. And in this series, we've watched those two hit the – Isaac Okoro hit the double step back tray. I didn't even know he had that in his game. He hit that shot. I said, oh, it's a wrap. They're getting things done in this series that they need to be successful moving forward. I'm not saying that next round, because they're going to win this series, it's over with. Next round that they're going to play extremely well, but I think they'll be much better and much more experienced, and it's a confidence booster. So I like what I've been seeing. Offensively, no, it's not perfect at all. The Magic look like us last year. It looked kind of froze. The stuff that was working in the regular season, they're finding out playoff basketball is totally different. This is a team that hasn't been in the playoffs in, 10 years? So they're finding out that.
Is it really 10 years?
Something like that.
Wow.
And they're finding out that it's a totally different game. And, you know, the Cavs are doing such a great job of handling the first quarter and maybe the first half. And it's overwhelming to the Magic. They don't have a lot of guys that's making shots outside of Paolo. And Franz is doing the best he can, but outside of those two, they don't really have anything. And the Cavs are doing a great job of playing good defense. But the offense does need to improve.
By the way, the Wagner parents dropped the ball. It should have been Hans and Franz.
So they can pump you up.
How did you miss that opportunity?
Well, I don't think Hans and
Mr.
Franz
Mrs. Wagner.
was that. When was that SNL? It was probably right around when they were born.
Yeah,
actually,
that's what I'm saying.
Maybe they were not fans.
What's your take on the Cavs right now, Jason, and how they've played? Games?
I don't think they're playing particularly well. I think they just happen to catch an opponent that, you know, the Cavs have become the Knicks and the Magic have become the Cavs. And that's sort of what I wrote. I think it's something that's going to post for tomorrow. We were talking about on the text thread last night that where the Cavs were last year, the Magic are even actually worse. I was looking at some of the numbers last night and this morning. The Cavs' defensive philosophy, and JB said they're taking the shots we want them to take. Well, that's 3-point shots. The Cavs are just packing the paint and saying, go ahead, shoot. And the Magic are wide open. I mean, wide open.
There have been some easy, especially the first quarter, first half.
And they're not making shots.
Yeah.
The Magic are shooting. So the NBA has tracking data, right, on like very tight defender, close defender, open, and wide open. Wide open by NBA standards is 6 feet or more. And on shots 6 feet or more, the Magic are shooting like 25%.
Oh my God.
Now, to put that in perspective.
25% period or just from 3?
From 3. on these wide open, which is
Okay.
typically where you're going to get wide open
Yeah, that's
shots.
true. Yeah.
Is from 3.
Yeah.
Now to put that in 25% on wide open shots. Now
Yeah.
to put that in perspective, when the league started tracking this data like a decade ago, I think the 13-14 season was the first season they started doing this. No team in the playoffs has shot under 30%. And the Magic are at 25% through 2 games. That's how bad.
And even 30% is awful in that
30%.
situation.
And those are teams that lose in the first round.
Right,
Actually,
right.
I'm sorry. I think I misspoke. One franchise has shot under 30% twice. You know who it was? Donovan Mitchell's team both times in Utah.
Oh, wow.
And they were knocked out in the first round both times. That's the only franchise that's ever shot under 30% since the league started tracking on these wide open shots. So the Cavs are saying you can shoot those all day as much as you want, and the Magic can't make them. They got it down to 10 in the fourth quarter and had a wide open look from 3 that really could have made things interesting. They missed it. Like they can't shoot. So the Magic now are where the Cavs were last year, to where their offseason plan has to be, we have to go out and find shooting to surround Banchero and Wagner and some of these other guys, because Jalen Suggs is terrific defensively. He's made progress as a three-point shooter during the regular season. It hasn't been there. Gary Harris ain't it. He should be coming off the bench.
Right.
They have 0 shooting. And until you fix that, what did we say all postseason last year for the Cavs? Shooting. It all comes down to shooting.
Yeah.
The Magic don't have that. That's why the Cavs are up 2-0, even though I don't think they're playing particularly well.
And we talked about this briefly before the show, and this obviously is a topic for another day, but Darius Garland would probably be a great fit on Orlando, wouldn't he?
I think Trae Young would be a perfect fit on Orlando.
Okay.
But Darius, I mean,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
A point guard who can shoot.
And Darius is actually shooting it well.
I was say he had a good game.
And he played well in the fourth quarter.
He's still.
It ain't there. It ain't where he's supposed to be.
He's got. I think he had 4 turnovers and 4 assists
Yeah,
last night.
yeah.
He's still dribbling too much. Where you're going
did not have a lot of
where
assists,
are you
period.
going with that? And part of that is the way Orlando switches defensively. It takes away a lot of ball movement. Sometimes it turns it into an ISO game. But I mean, Darius is shooting well. Like, there's things that I don't think he's doing well, but in terms of three-point shot, he's one of the few guys that actually is making something.
Darius has, you know how on the Space Jam, when the Monstars stole their talent and he had to touch the ball he's starting to touch the ball again to get his talent
Think
back.
so? It's
Yeah,
coming?
I think so.
He
Not going on my parlay, but I think it's
You're not that confident
No,
yet.
not there yet.
Yeah.
But he's trending in the right direction.
I think it's a. Go ahead, Mike.
Can I say one thing on the Magic shooting real quick?
Yeah.
They're 17 for 72 from beyond the arc in 2 games. And somehow it feels worse than that.
Oh, it does.
Like they've made 17 threes in 2 games. It feels significantly worse than that. But
Yeah.
17 of 72 is an absolutely horrific number. And we said after game 1, Orlando can't shoot worse. Well,
Yeah. I feel like
damn close.
it feels like they've made 3 3-pointers the whole series. But here's the thing. I do think it's a mixed bag. Yes, the Cavs are not playing particularly well offensively. But the one, and obviously the Knicks were a much tougher opponent than the Magic, even though they're both 5 seeds. But what the Cavs are doing that was non-existent last year is they're playing with toughness. Mm-hmm. They're physical, they're tough. Yes, a lot of those shots are open, but that's by design, right, Jason? I mean, that's by design. They're like, you guys can't shoot.
They want him taking those shots.
But every time Banchero gets the ball, they're harassing him.
Yeah.
They are all over him. I haven't watched Banchero play much. I've been thoroughly unimpressed. He has 15 turnovers. 15.
Because they're asking him to do everything.
I'm about to say
Right.
he has nobody else.
But real positives for the Cavs. Jarrett Allen
Terrific.
was a meme last year. He's been phenomenal. Only the 3rd Cavalier ever to get 20 rebounds in a game. In a playoff game, sorry. You mentioned Okoro. I was hard on Okoro the second half of the year. The only time I felt like the Magic had a chance, in the second quarter, they made that good. After Darius hit the 3 to start the second quarter, I think the Cavs were up 15, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then the Magic made like a run there. Darius got in foul trouble. Magic made a run. They cut it down to, I want to say, 5 or 4. Mm-hmm. And then Okoro then caught fire and scored, 10 points in a row or 8, something like that. And they built the lead back up, and that was it. So, he's giving you some moments. Mm-hmm. Mobley was great in the first half of the first game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wasn't as good yesterday, but still better than last year. But the one thing I'm concerned about going into the next round is they have been extremely sloppy with the ball.
Yeah.
There's been some hideous turnovers by the Cavaliers, even Donovan Mitchell.
And part of that is this is Orlando style, and this is what they do. They're a terrific defensive team. They're going to force you into bad situations. They're going to create turnovers.
Yeah.
And there was I guess I haven't been on, so we didn't talk about it. In Game 1, if you go back to Game 1, there was about a first 5 or 6 minute stretch of the third quarter where it was like, that's what Orlando wants to do. It's exactly what they want to do. The Cavs were getting the ball inside, but the Magic were forcing turnovers, were forcing Cavs into bad shots. They were getting baskets in transition. Magic were getting easy looks at it. And there was about a 5-6 minute stretch in that third quarter where it's like, okay, this is how Orlando wins the game if they can play an entire game like this, which is very difficult to do.
Right.
So part of it is the Cavs have been sloppy with the ball. Part of it is this is how Orlando plays.
Right.
But, you know, the Cavs are winning despite the fact that they're not shooting it much better than Orlando is. If you look at, like, Strus and Yang were two of the big offseason additions because of their shooting. Neither one of them are shooting it. I mean, George was killing himself in the locker room.
Yeah.
He was actually really funny. He can laugh about it and be self-deprecative about it because
right.
you're down 0-2, but he's like, bang, bang, can't hit a thing.
Yeah.
It was actually hilarious. And he was talking about how some of the Magic fans were sitting courtside and giving him heat, and he was trying so hard to hit one to shut him up, and he couldn't hit anything.
No.
I think he's 0 for 8 in 2 games. Like, he's got to be
Yeah.
better. He has got to be better going forward if they're going to make any sort of noise, you know, in the rest of this. If you would assume that they're – I'm sure the question is going to come up, is the series over, right? Do you think the series is over?
Yeah.
I think the Cavs are going to win. I don't think it's going to be a sweep. Orlando's going to play much better when they go back home.
Right.
Some of these shots that they're missing on the road, probably you start making when you're at home. They'll have the crowd behind them. So I've thought all along the Cavs will win the series, but I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I don't think the Cavs are going to roll in Orlando.
I never said a sweep. I said 4-2.
I thought 6.
Yeah, I just feel like for the Magic, they have to build some type of momentum. You got to get some type of win, and I think it does happen in Orlando. I don't know if it goes 6. It might go 5.
Yeah.
I think at this point it might go 5.
Yeah.
But I was one thing that I was thinking about when we was doing it. I think the Cavs did this chess move of getting this matchup because Jamal and JB are bestest of friends.
Yep.
Right now, Jamal looks just like how the Cavs did, like JB last year. Struggling with adjustments, doesn't have the shooting, all the same things that JB faced. So this series, to try to, I'm going beyond here, so y'all stay with me. Does this justify that JB has gotten better as a coach by being able to overcome the same things that he was struggling with last year?
I mean, he's going up against a rookie head coach making his first postseason.
But if they decided to keep him, would this be justifiable?
We have to see how the rest of this plays out. It's too early to say.
I just wanted to.
Yeah, if they win this series and they get swept by Boston, nobody's going to be asking for him to
I agree with that, but I'm trying to think from a front office standpoint. If they tried to set him up to succeed in the best way they could.
Here's what's interesting to me about this series is, for whatever reason, Jamal Mosley, who I have a ton of respect for, I think he's a great coach. He has not used Jalen Suggs, their best perimeter defender, on Donovan. He's putting Suggs on Darius. And Donovan's getting hot early, and we just talked about how Donovan's staking him these big leads. So on one hand, Jamal is saying, we have to be better at the start of the game. We can't keep letting them start out like this. And at the same time, he's not using his best defender on their best player. And finally, last night, he was asked about it, and he thought about how he was going to answer it for a second. And basically, his answer is interesting. Basically, he said that he thought the way that Mitchell plays in pick and rolls, it was going to be a lot of contact for Jalen. And he was trying – and the way I read that, and Mike, tell me if you read it any differently, was that they didn't want to run him through a lot of screens and wear him down that way. But, I thought that was going to be an adjustment from game 1 to game 2. I thought he would use Suggs on Mitchell, and they didn't. They came out last night and played it the same way they did in game 1 until the fourth quarter, and then they started blitzing these guys a little bit more, and they had some success with it. When Orlando went on that run, it's because they really started sending 2 at the ball handler. I would imagine going into game 3.
Known that, though.
What's that?
He should have been known that the blitzes is.
Well,
what's going on here? I don't even coach it. I know that.
But the one time they tried it in the first quarter, in game 1, they blitzed Darius, and Darius was 35 feet from the basket, and he just flipped to Donovan, and Donovan hit a wide open three from the wing. So that's the downside to it. Is there's
Right, if you
always
don't
a man
get there
open.
and make the play.
Yeah. So
Well,
there's give and take with that.
It wouldn't be Darius I blitz. I would blitz Donovan, especially in the first
Get the
quarter.
ball out of
Get the
Donovan's
ball
hands.
out of his
I
hands.
What the
tend to
Cavs are
agree.
doing that I think has been a really good adjustment from JB, and he deserves a ton of kudos. It's 2 games. They still got a long way to go, but he has severely outcoached Jamal Mosley in this series. They're starting the offense way far out, Jason, and part of the reason for that is I think they anticipated the blitz is coming, and it's really hard to blitz with that much room to operate on the backside. And also, when they're running these high pick and rolls, mostly with Donovan, a little bit with Darius, they're playing drop coverage for the most part, but when you're dropping off from 35 feet away from the basket, that's giving Donovan a ton of space to attack and get ahead of steam before he's making a move on a Banchero or a Jonathan Isaac. And when he gets going, he's damn near impossible to stop. And it's tough to try to corral him 30 feet from the basket with a big. Like, it's just a tough matchup. So the Cavs have actually expanded their offense, started setting up their primary sets further away from the basket, which has spaced out Orlando's defense, which is a way to neutralize their length and athleticism. And I think that's been a really good adjustment. They started blitzing in the fourth quarter. I haven't gone back and watched the film yet to see what kind of worked and what didn't work. But I'm sure they'll go back to that in Game 3 and Game 4 because they had success.
But part of their success in that fourth quarter was the Cavs were trying to run the clock.
Not necessarily true.
No, they weren't?
Maybe to a little extent, but
I
they
mean,
just
late in
were
the
getting
game, it
mucked
felt
up.
like they were holding the ball to the end of the possession.
It was a 10-point game with, 6 minutes left, 5 minutes left?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it was.
that's nothing.
Yeah.
You can't kill that much
But
clock.
they were playing, well, I guess I'm
They
thinking
took
a
their
little
foot
more
off the
later
gas,
than
but it
that,
wasn't prevent. Is that a fair middle
that?
ground? They didn't take their foot off. They didn't play prevent offense, but they did take their foot off the gas a little bit. Once
I
it got
thought
to
they
22
did play
points.
prevent offense late, not at the 6-minute mark, but
I don't remember when they got it. I remember
Yeah.
Orlando got it to 10 and thought,
Yeah.
okay, this could get really interesting here.
Right.
Because we've seen the Cavs blow big
Right.
leads before.
But I think they, like you said, or one of you guys said, they were kind of playing it. They never really respected Orlando's ability to come back.
No, because you have to be able to shoot.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be able to make threes to come back in this game now. You're not going to come back from a 20-point deficit, usually, unless you
Yeah.
completely unravel. A team's not going to come back on you from that
Right.
big of a deficit shooting mid-range and at the basket. You've got to get a flurry of threes.
Speaking of comebacks, LeBron and the Lakers blew a 20-point lead last
I
night,
saw that.
and the Nuggets come back and win. Who hit the
Jamal
game?
Murray.
Oh, Murray, right.
Yeah.
And he was having a terrible game. And he had a 3. I think he was falling into the
Step back.
crowd.
Step back
too.
on AD.
But that's a perfect example of a
Yeah.
team that can come back like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have the shooting.
Yeah.
They have the three-point shooting.
And what's funny is LeBron had a big fourth quarter. Anthony Davis had a big game. D'Angelo Russell had like his best game.
Yeah.
And they still blew a 20-point lead.
Yeah.
Man.
That's how good Denver is.
And then how about the way the Knicks-Sixers game ended? Did you see that at the end of that?
Yeah, crazy.
The Knicks went down 5 with 30 seconds to go, and they won.
Yeah.
By 3.
Didn't they say somebody got hit in the face or something?
You know what? I don't want to hear about that.
Wait, what happened
Only-
though? Because I didn't see it.
Yeah, there was a complaint about a missed call or whatever. There's always a million calls to go both ways. I don't want to hear about referees. The Lakers were whining about referees after the game, too. Go ahead, Mike.
One more thing on Game 3 before we move on to a completely separate topic related to Game 3. But
Yeah.
when the Cavs made the trade for Donovan Mitchell, they were trading for a guy who, when push came to shove, when defense is locked down, a guy that can create shots. And you mentioned Paolo earlier, Bull. Jason Tyvis, Bull, I'm curious if you guys feel the same way, but through 2 games, there's only one guy I feel confident against these 2 defenses that can consistently create a good look regardless of the situation. It's only been Donovan Mitchell. And that's literally been the difference in the Cavs winning 2 games and losing 2 games. They have a guy who, when push comes to shove, whether it's late in the shot clock, whether it's off a design set, can not only create a good look for himself or someone else, as opposed to Orlando, who is fighting, clawing, and scratching just to get even a contested look.
Right.
That's what
Whereas
they
he
traded
gets
for.
really good